What's going on, everybody? I hope that you're doing well. Jay here coming to you, and I have another interview. These interviews, we're bridging the gap. And what you can do is you can reach out to me at jcameronofficial@gmail.com if you have a perspective that you would like to share, and we could talk about it right here on the show. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to share a conversation with you that I just had with Nana. Nana, he reached out to me. He is well, I'm gonna let you hear the conversation to get a good idea. But check out this conversation, and don't forget to make sure if you would like to join the discussion, all you have to do is reach out jcameronofficial@gmail.com, and we can get your thoughts and all of that. So let's get into the talk with Nana.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, I think it's something that we do need in these times. It's been long overdue anyway. Yes, so thank you for taking the initiative and then working on that. So I actually follow your videos and all the places that.
Okay. Yes. I have a variety.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yes, and
so what prompted you to reach out? What was
and I've listened to your interviews as well. So yeah, so basically the work that you're doing is of interest to me, and the topics that you deal with in your interviews, this whole Africa diaspora thing, and all the things that have happened and continue to happen.
Right.
Right. So yeah, right. So those are the things that are bit of interest to me, and that is what prompted me to yeah. And I also watched your interview with Tim.
Yes.
So that was another powerful one. Yes.
And then I did with Eben. I just did one with Eben.
Yeah, you just did one with Eben. Yes.
Right. So what I'm trying to do is to talk to more people, whether it be in Ghana or wherever in Africa, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Senegal, and get perspectives on just everything, because everyone, because of what's happened, we all see it through our lens. I mean, so now just you being in Memphis, I didn't expect to hear Memphis, of all cities. Memphis. I was like, wait a minute, hold on that way. Memphis? Now how you end up in Memphis? That's what caught my attention. I was like, wait a minute now, maybe Chicago, maybe New York, but
that's right. Right.
But Memphis, Memphis, Tennessee.
Yes.
So I'm always intrigued by people's stories. So all right, well, let's just talk. Let's say, how did you end up in Memphis, Tennessee? Are you originally born in Ghana? I know Nana, so the name Nana, I know.
Yes. I've been originally born in Ghana. I mean, I grew up in Ghana. I went to school in Ghana.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I got to do a test to make sure that you have not lost your Ghana. Now, which ethnic group are you a part of?
Asante.
Okay, Asante. Okay, so what day were you born?
Thursday.
So what's that? Is that Kwabena?
No, that's Yao.
Yao, that's right. Okay. And so you're from the Kumasi region?
Yeah, not Kumasi itself, but the Asante region. So
in the Asante region, that whole area.
Yes.
Okay. So see, I know a little something. I'm a little.
You do.
Just a little something. So do you? And I always ask this. Do you? And not everybody, eats the foods we're familiar with, but are you a Banku person, a Jollof person, a red person, a KK person, a Wache person? Which one are you? All of them.
All of them. I mean, but if I have to start, I'll probably start with, from the four that you just mentioned, I'll start with the Wache.
Wache, and you got to have the egg with the Wache. Somebody gave me Wache with
that. That is true.
I was like, how do you have Wache without
it? Yes.
What's going on here? How you gonna do? Is it the Obroni in me that just said that I didn't want the egg? I said, what? I need the egg with my Wache.
No, you do.
That's all right.
You
All
do.
right. So Nana, tell me how you ended up in Memphis, Tennessee from the Ashanti region in Ghana. I'm trying to bring that connection.
Right, right,
We're
right.
bridging the gap here.
Actually, I grew up for the most part in Accra. Um, I ended up in college in Marseille, and then I mean, after that, went for some time, got the opportunity to to go graduate school, and that was what brought me over to the United States.
Okay.
So yeah, so did that, been working for a while, and then so I've been mostly in North Carolina.
Oh wait a minute. All right. So you were from Memphis, Tennessee, in North Carolina. What part of North
You
Carolina?
know, North Carolina, that's where I've been for the most part. Greensboro.
Oh, Greensboro.
Greensboro.
So you down
Yes,
85. You were down 85.
yeah, that's right. Yes,
Yeah. A and
yes,
T is right there. North Carolina A and T.
exactly. Yep,
See?
yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So actually, I give pride. You know.
Oh, you are. You have
Yes,
really.
yes, yes,
See, that's what I'm saying. So you've really kind of bridged the gap in a very different kind of way because you are very obviously coming from Ghana. And I try to what I like to encourage people to understand is that we have more similarities than we realize
yes.
by you coming from the Ashanti. And then growing up in a crowd, what part of a crowd were you in? See, now that opens up a whole nother conversation.
Right.
What part of a crowd did you grow up in?
Well, I started from Dansuman, if you know the Dansuman area,
Okay,
yes. And then I ended up, I mean, Taifa, if you know Taifa.
I'm not familiar with Typhoon,
Okay.
but I'm
Uh,
sure I've been there. How about that?
right. Yes. Yes. So yeah. So that's been it.
Okay, okay. Now,
Yeah.
and this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was I've been in Greensboro. That's where I was for all this while. Memphis, just probably like a year, a little over a year.
Okay,
Yeah, and it just job relocation.
I was gonna say opportunity came your way.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've heard the conversations that I've been having. I talk a lot about colonization. I talk a lot about a lot of things that a lot of people don't necessarily want to talk about. And I talk a lot about even in America. I talked about DC and how there are three grocery stores in the majority African descendant areas. So like the black areas, if you will, three grocery stores, but then they have 16 grocery stores in the white areas. And I drew the comparison between much of what happens in West Africa and throughout the whole continent about how you can have these disparities and all of that. But what have you observed being someone who is native to West Africa and then coming to America? What are some of the observations or perspectives that you have that we might not have considered, or just maybe we have considered, but just some of your own observations as far as your journey?
Well, let me start with this. Um, I happen to have done a bit of reading while I was back even in Ghana. So I would say, familiar with the let me say African American story, as
Okay,
it were.
okay, okay.
You know, yes. So, but of course, what I mean after being here, there are some of the things that I could not have imagined.
Oh Lord, you know,
You
I'm about to scare.
know,
Got me nervous
I
now.
mean, uh, I oftentimes joke with friends that in America everything is color coded. You
Explain that when you say.
know,
Explain that because I know what you mean, but somebody else might not know.
right? I mean, it it seems that nothing happens outside color lines. You know, it has to, even if you don't see it immediately, you can trace it then trace it and realize that it will go back to that divide. I mean, somewhere, somehow, it got to be black, I mean, white, and that sort of thing.
And
So,
is that not the case in Ghana, or other, is that not the case?
um, not necessarily, no. Uh, some people have argued, even you find Africans and even some Ghanaians have argued that what is racism in the United States is uh, in Africa, and let me talk specifically to Ghana. You have tribalism,
Okay.
and it's analogous. But I disagree, and I disagree in this in because racism, as I've come to understand it, and recently I don't remember the name of the professor, but there's this professor who's done extensive work on is it post slavery
Post-traumatic slave
post traumatic, yes, the syndrome, yes,
the lady.
yes,
Yes.
exactly,
Yes. Yes.
right,
Yes. Yes.
right, and she confirmed something that I've always maintained, that um, racism has it is racism when it has this power attached to it, power to effect some kind of change in the economic situation of the victim, political, even the social, conditions.
Okay.
And so, for me, it is not when, let's say, a white person calls you by a certain name or says that he doesn't want a particular kind of music. I mean, those things, I mean, to me, do not really matter much. But what makes it serious is that the system has the power to do something to you, So whether it's school districts, whether it's housing, whether it's and all of that political situation, now we see it. So when it has that power to it, then that is what makes it, yes, racism to me. So back on the continent, in Ghana, for instance, yes, I mean, you have squabbles. I mean, individuals, and then there are stereotypes all over.
Okay.
Each rival has something that is stereotypical about it, and so they tend to make fun with it and joke with it and all of that. But you never have a situation where, say, for instance, you have that power, and so it decides that, what, all of the people of this particular tribe, you are going to be denied, housing, or you're going to be denied something, for your economic development and all of that. So that is always where I draw the difference, that, yeah, that doesn't happen. I mean, and you're not going to have police officers that are of a certain tribe saying that, what, we're standing here, we're going to target people of this particular tribe, and make sure that we do, so you don't, that doesn't happen. And so for me,
But you know what? You said something really interesting there, because and this speaks to the diversity on the continent of Africa. Because I mean, you've been in America long enough, so you've been around so-called African Americans, and you know the lack of information that we have about the continent. So somebody here, you say you're from Ghana, or no, you say you're from Africa, they're automatically thinking that you're from one country named
Yes.
Africa,
Yes.
and everybody does everything the same way.
Right. Right.
But Ghana, in actuality, is one country in Africa that has many different ethnic groups within it,
Yes.
in different languages. And you go to the north, you go to Tamale, all right,
Yes.
and it's that's more of an Islamic area. And then you go down to obviously the central region in the Fanti area. That's different than the
Yes.
Ashanti region. And then you have the Ga and Accra, and then you have the
That's right.
Ewe over by Togo. So you have it's but most people in America don't even think about it like that. So
Right.
when they think of it, they think of it monolithically.
Yes.
So when you were talking about the different skirmishes, now what I have heard, this is what some people in different, I'm gonna tell you two different countries. In Sierra Leone, what I have been told, and someone watching in Sierra Leone could correct this or not, but they talked about how the political party in power would actually restrict resources from getting to the opposing ethnic group. So meaning, I just you have the Mende and the Temene. So whoever's in political power, and then you have the Limba, and you have others obviously, but whoever the dominant power is would restrict and keep power from getting to other places. I've been told in Nigeria that that certain ethnic groups would target other ethnic groups. The political power in the political the ethnic group in political power would then target the other or one particular ethnic group and target them with physical force and like literally kill them. So that's something that I've heard, but that's not happening in Ghana. So just to kind of put it in perspective, that's not how, for what you're saying, that's not what's happening in
Right.
Ghana,
Right.
because some people here, they just hear Africa and they don't understand that Sierra Leone is very different from Cote d'Ivoire, very different from Ghana. Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana right next to each other
Yes.
share the same ethnic group, the
Oh
Akan,
yes. Hmm.
but they're very different.
Yes.
So I just wanted to kind of bring that out as we educate people, because a lot of times people don't know. They're just thinking, Africa, without even
Right.
understanding. So
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. So that is all true. Sierra Leone and the Nigerian experience. I mean, Nigeria has had a civil war, and it was largely based on uh, political power,
mhm.
struggle for political power, and based on regional, regional tribal allies, So, um, and then I believe that Sierra Leone's situation was similar.
Right,
We had in Rwanda,
right.
uh, yes, that was also similar. So yes, when and these things happen usually when uh, I really don't like using the word minority, but for our purposes, let me use that when you have by population. So groups that are uh, smaller in population, having being in political power,
Mm.
and uh, and having an agenda that to all the others seem that they just want to grab everything for themselves, to the exclusion of all the others. And then it gets to a point where then it just blows out, and then these things do happen. Yes.
I have a question for you then. Who's behind all of this?
Oh, yes. Let's get into that.
If you've been watching my channel, you already know where.
Yes, 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 yes. Let's
you know,
get
I,
into
I
let's
I
get
know where to point the fingers.
let's get into that. And to answer that question, let me start this way.
Yeah.
So, when you said that in America, I mean, among the African Americans, many do not know about Africa, the continent, and all the diversities and all of that. It is not that different from the continent. The average African knows very little about the African American story. Besides, okay, there was slavery, and then probably they'll know about Martin Luther King Jr., you know,
Right.
and then probably that is it. Because for the continent, America was basically introduced by way of movies and music videos and all of that, And you see our brothers and sisters in very comfortable, I would say, situations, and all of that. And then also, particularly for Ghana, and I believe it's the same with other African countries, the people that I wouldn't say pioneers, but the early guys who traveled, let's say 60s, 70s, to America and elsewhere, when they got back to the continent, there was a tendency of not telling the true story.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so that went on for a while. I mean, when you are in America, you do know, I mean, things just do not fall into your lap.
No.
Right. But for a very long time, when they went back, I mean, they go back with some dollars, and because of the exchange rate and all of that, so they're able to get more CDs, and they do this and that, they build houses and all of that. And so to the average Ghanaian, it all seemed that easy. All one needed to do was to find his way or her way to America or other places, and you'll be able to do this. You'll be able to build your house. You're gonna be able to car. You come, because they go back and then they throw the money around and all of that.
I was gonna say
So
they flaunt it.
so
They say, "Hey,
right,
I made it to the promised land.
exactly,
I got to
right.
America, y'all.
So
Come on."
it was not until I think probably I would say maybe starting in the late 80s, 90s when people actually started telling the true story. People getting to know that, oh, hey, for all you know, there are people here on the continent that actually have better lives, better jobs and all of that. And it is not, no. People go there and they do struggle, 2, 3 jobs and all of that, So gradually that narrative started coming out. And now, I mean, for the most part, at least in the city centers and elsewhere, people are aware now that, it is not. But to tackle your question, Africa, I have always maintained that colonization succeeded, for me, and even new colonization, what is referred to new colonization, what is happening now, for me, based on because of 3 major things. One, the African has a tendency to trust too easily. And this includes all Black people, I would say. I mean, for the purposes of our discussion,
You
I
talk
would
about
say.
even in America too, right?
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna say you better because
Yes.
okay, all right, yeah.
We trust too easily. We forget too easily, and we forgive too quickly.
Okay, hold that thought. When you say trust too easily, in my experience, the trusting too easily is with those on the outside, not so much with those who look like them. That's that.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. So the trusting that I'm referring to is
Mm-hmm.
that I'll just say it plainly. I see a lot of black folks trust white folks before they trust black folks. That's how. That's
That is exactly what
okay.
it is.
Okay, I just had to say because I'm
No, no,
watching.
no. That is exactly what I mean.
Okay, because
That is exactly what I mean.
you roll up, they're
Because
looking at me. If I come up, they're drilling me with 1,000,001 questions, and then a white person come up, oh hi, how are you? And they're just being all nice and everything, and I'm
yes.
looking at them sideways like, well, first of all, I don't even want your money now. As a matter of fact, you can go
Mm-hmm.
on about your business. You know that's
Right.
but it's like, is that what you're referring to? Just want to be clear.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because I mean, when the white man first appeared on the shores of the continent, I mean, Jay, just look at this scenario. These are people who have never seen people like this before. I mean, they could not even talk to each other, as it were.
Mm,
They look different, there's different in everything.
right.
But the Africans did not set out and say, no, 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 these are so strange people. What are they doing here? No, we can't have them here. Let's get rid of them. Let's make sure they don't even, they stay on their ships and, let's attack them. No, 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 no. They for some reason, they welcomed them. They gave them land, places to stay. And within a relatively short time, here they were. I mean, stay here, do your own thing, and then they just uh, uh, easily just went along.
Hmm.
And then the white man just started, oh, okay, so here we give you this, we give you that, we give you take the Bible, and then as has been said, they brought their Bible, they give us the Bible, and then when
When you
eyes were
bowed your
closed,
head, close your eyes, and then look up, and you
they
had the
took that.
land. You had the
Yes,
Bible there. Okay.
right. So I will go to that too. So that was it. And this thing had gone on and on and on and on. And for some reason, uh, we, we, we don't even seem to remember any of the things that were done. I mean, the atrocities. I mean, Ghana, we did not uh, experience too much of the atrocities, as it were.
Okay.
But you look at other places, Congo, for
I was gonna
instance.
say Congo. That I was
Yeah,
going right
look
to the
at what
Congo.
that King Leopold did,
Yeah.
you know. But all that withstanding, Namibia and all that notwithstanding, the African is still easily trusting the just like that.
Even to this
Easily,
day,
even
even to
even
this
to
day.
this day, easily forgiving and just forget about everything.
But why is it
You know,
like that? Why is it that people who have been abused, have been raped, have been stolen from, have been manipulated, have been deceived, have been exploited? Why are they so trusting and forgiving and receptive to that at this point with all the knowledge that we have?
right. So to answer that for me, that is where I would say the introduction of Western Christianity comes in.
And I noticed you prefaced that by saying Western Christianity. I heard you put that Western in there first. You can't slide too many things past me. Because you could have just said Christianity, but you said Western Christianity. So yeah, so
Yeah.
so
I mean, if if you look at even from that narrative and you realize that Africa played a major role, even in the even if we're taking the Bible as it were and all the stories in there,
mhm.
there's no way anybody can tell me that, oh, Africans did not know anything about God and all of this until the white man brought it. No, I mean, that is not true. That is just not true. But so when that came in, and this whole again, so then Jesus is white, and he is a savior, right?
And that's what they be telling people.
Yes.
That's what they
Okay.
be telling people, right?
Right. So then, if you all of this is your master. If you are the master, that means that you are either the servant or the slave or whatever it is. And then you're supposed to have this reverence for your master.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is what the Lord requires of you to obey.
Yeah. That's what they teach.
Right. And so all that then just like and another thing that they did was that they formed these communities that in Ghana were referred to as Salem. Salem, I think, is what that means peace.
Salem. Okay.
Right. And so these communities, what were communities that, okay, so everybody on the continent, the religious forms are idolatrous and evil, according to the white man who came, right? And so, in order for you to be saved, then you need to convert to what we are bringing to you. And then once you convert, we'll have to give you a name. And when we give you the name, because the people, Africa, it was communities living in compounds and communities and all of that.
Thousands, yeah.
You once you convert, then we require you to leave. You can't stay with them because these are heathens. You are now been saved and converted. And so they created these communities where the converts were put out from their families to go stay there. Just imagine the rift that this brought about.
But I see it happening today. I see it happening
amongst families.
Okay, but now you talk about Western Christianity, but then there's a strong Islamic presence on the continent. So we've got Western Christianity, but I see in Sierra Leone,
yes,
I see Islam,
yes,
I see it in Mali, I see it in Burkina, I see it in Nigeria, I see it in Ghana, I see it in Togo, Benin, over in the east, Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia.
Yes. What we oftentimes miss when we're talking even about the transatlantic slavery is that the Islamic slavery actually even predates the transatlantic slavery. That was even going on even before the Europeans arrived.
Yes.
Yes.
By hundreds of years.
Yes. Yes. But oftentimes that is not even mentioned. Yes. So that was also another devastating one that was going on for years, even before this, right? And for them, even years were even I would say even more dangerous because you are forced actually to convert.
Now, there's some people who will argue, and I think this is where some people will argue and say that, and this is the play on words, that Islam did not force people to convert, which is fair. I think that's a fair, because the actual faith did not force. But so when people refer to it, they say, well, Islam forced people, but in actuality, perhaps it was the Arabs who used Islam and forced.
Yes. I mean, yes, and that same argument could be made for Christianity as well.
Sure could.
Yes.
The Catholics and the
Thank you for bringing that up. Because another thing that I also often say is that if you're looking at, I'm not too familiar with Islam, so let me stick with
No, I understand. I understand.
yes,
Yeah.
with Christianity. I always tell people that Christianity in itself, as uh, preached and practiced by Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Not white Jesus, though. Not white Jesus.
No.
Okay.
Yes, but no, no white
Because some
Jesus.
people can't separate the difference. Their
No,
minds are so.
no white Jesus. But
Right. Okay.
yes, in and of itself, um, the message is okay. By and large, it is something that is uplifting and do a whole lot to the individual and all of that. The problem is the people who carry the message, the people who brought the message. So it is not the message, but it is the messengers. So yes, to your point, I agree that yes. So it is the people who used it, manipulated it to do whatever that they wanted to do to achieve their own ends and goals. So
And that's
yes,
what has created the problem that we have
yes,
today with the over acceptance, the forgetting, the docility. Because I see that happening.
oh
It,
yes,
it's
yes,
something that
yes.
is. I'll say it like this. I spent many years indoctrinated by the particular Western approach. And what it did was it made me very docile. It made me, I turn the other cheek. So that means you can abuse me and I don't say anything.
Mm,
And that's the Lord's will for my life, for me to be
right.
abused and for me to be downtrodden and for me to,
Mm,
but then in the next breath, you're telling me that I'm supposed to be the head and I'm supposed to
there
not
you
be the
go.
tail. So now I'm confused because I'm supposed to be above and not beneath, but yet you're telling me in the next breath that I need to just take all this crap that people are giving me and not say a word about it. And
Mm-hmm.
if I do, now I'm being rebellious and now I'm going against the will of God and God is going to curse me and I'm going to get struck down because now so that creates this confusion that now some people don't have that level of confusion. Some people are at the state that you're talking about where they're just kind of like, okay, just whatever,
Yes,
he's a
exactly.
Macedon told him come along and Macedon said this. I was just going to go along with it. Okay, go ahead. I had to
Right.
interject that though.
Yes. So you see all that. So to again in answering the question about the state of African and all of that, why it's still persisted to this day. Now, when you are told that the savior is white, and through colonization, uh, you are made to feel inferior. So everything white is supposed to be better and superior.
Mm-hmm.
And one cannot overemphasize the effect psychologically of this message over and over and over. And there's I don't remember the name, but there's supposed to be this old time philosopher who said something like the the conquered, the conquered always tries to imitate the conqueror.
Oh, like a Stockholm syndrome. Not no Stockholm is more like an affection,
Look,
but
right.
right.
And so now you want to, because you see him and he is portrayed to be in a superior position, you want to be like him. So you want to, so the whole goal is to dress like him, talk like him, uh, and all of that, eat like him. And so you get to a point where whatever you have, it's bad, it's inferior, it's not good. The goal is to be like,
It reminded me of a statement. There was a video that was up in Ghana, and a lady commented, and she was very upset, and she said she was upset with Kwame Nkrumah. Now Kwame Nkrumah has been deceased almost 50 years.
Yes.
However, she's still upset with Kwame Nkrumah. She said, I'm upset with Kwame Nkrumah because he ran the British out of Ghana. And had he not done that, we would be more developed like South Africa. And when I heard, when I read that statement to
Hmm.
myself, I was like, wow. I said that it was a sad statement because
Oh, are you going to be surprised that she's not the only one? There are many people who believe that.
well, it doesn't surprise me because I watch how people
Okay.
vote in America. I know how stuff is in America.
Okay.
But it's like I was like, wow. I said it's really sad because first of all, they didn't understand he didn't have the power to run he had no power. They ran him
And
up out of there.
and we're going to go into that. I am particularly interested in that. Yes,
He had no power. It's like
with
he's getting blamed for something that he had no power to do. And then if you really understood the story, they ran him out. The CIA, the United
yes,
States
yes, yes,
CIA, ran
yes,
Kwame Nkrumah out, tried to
yes,
kill him, couldn't kill
yes,
him, and
yes.
ran him out.
Years ago, when they declassified the CIA documents, yes, the
Yeah,
CIA was actually behind that code that got him out. Yes.
and that's what I'm saying. So when I heard her say that, I said the level of misinformation
Yes.
and then the level of Africans or black people or who have a white supremacy mindset because
Mm,
now putting to because it's basically arguing over who colonized me the most, who colonized me the most.
right.
Now that's going to be the standard that I
The-
believe in. I
right.
believe that. I mean, granted, I love South Africa and I love all the amenities because of where I grew up in America. I
Mhm.
love all of that, but I also am able to separate that and not say that okay, South Africa is better than Ghana because now I'm now becoming an agent of white supremacy when I say that South Africa is better than Ghana or another country because of how colonized they are. When in actuality, that's why I get among the people and I
You,
block that out of my mind. And I say,
Jay,
well, go ahead.
Jay, you have the information because you have committed yourself to studying,
Mm-hmm.
to learning, to finding out. The average African,
Right.
I mean, so that information is just not there.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And all he or she knows and sees is that the white man has done this and that and that and that. I mean, when the average African sees the white man on the continent, so many is like, oh, he is here or she is here to help us, to do something for us. No, no, that is not a situation that has never been there. Yes, you have some individuals, maybe based on so church missions or charity, or I
I know you
mean,
got to
trying
watch
to
them too.
work.
You got to watch them
Oh,
too.
oh, oh, yes.
So you gotta watch them
I've had
too.
some experience
Yeah,
with
I'm
them,
about to
so
say.
I know. Oh, yes,
Oh, you got to watch them too.
yes. At the end of the
But I
day,
understand what you're saying.
they
Individuals, individuals. Right?
yes. So you have some. No, no, but the structure. No, Dr. John Henry Clark
Okay.
would tell you we have no friends.
Hmm.
No, they have never look. It is not. And America would say yes, yes, yes ago. There was this undersecretary for African Affairs or something who said in matters relating to I mean America and Africa and all that, it's always been seeking the interests of America.
Because it's the business. It's the corporation of
Yes,
America.
which was a true statement. And then
Yeah.
of course, why not? Each country will want to do.
Absolutely.
The only people who seem to miss that is Africans.
Would you say all Africans are like that, or would you say that it's? Um, do you think there's a segment of Africans that may be opposing this and who may speak up because and say, "Listen, no, this is." Do you think there's opposition, or I mean, you're from there, so you know
Yeah,
you know
no, no.
your
I mean, I
culture.
mean, I mean. Now, now there are yes, there are people who are coming to the consciousness. you
Okay.
know. Yes. But by and large, and again, it goes back to what you were talking about, who is in control, you know. So when colonization, so they started with the land and then the name. So they took the land, they took the name, and they took the language. Now, when these are taken from a people, you are basically being stripped of your identity.
And the language.
Yes. So your name, your language, and your land. These are the three major pillars for any culture, for any group of people.
And your religion.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, yes, and your religion,
Right.
exactly. You know. So when all of these things have been taken away, now you are basically left with no identity, and you just trying to be like to copy and to so that started the trend, and then it came all the way through. So, and then once that whole continent was divided up into all these smaller groups and all with the borders and all of that, you've been stripped of any capacity, you know. And so it was like, okay, all the resources, natural resources, hey, extracted and taken out, extracted and taken out, extracted without building any capacity, nothing, you know. So when all these so-called, I always refer to as so-called independence, which
People don't like when I talk about that, though. They get mad at me. They're
oh
like,
yeah, I mean, uh, so happened. It didn't change anything.
okay.
It didn't change anything.
Explain that to me.
The structures have already been put in place,
Okay.
and it was just a continuation. The few instances where you had leaders who really wanted to move in a different direction,
They're
they
dead.
were taken out. So
Right.
you look at Patrice Lumumba,
Yes.
Congo, of and others that happened.
Well, Kwame
Guinea,
Nkrumah, they didn't
yes,
kill him. They didn't. Well,
Guinea, Guinea,
addition. Yeah.
yeah, Guinea, right?
Guinea.
Guinea,
Guinea.
Secretary. I mean, we always I'm always baffled, and I know you too, with all this francophone and things and all of that. But if you know the history of Guinea, Guinea
I know.
refused,
I know. And they suffered.
and and all the
I know.
things that the French did to Guinea, they actually destroyed everything,
That's
making
right.
sure that they could. I mean, they
They
were
we forced them to become dependents. It's like, okay, we
yes,
decimate
and
everything.
so that was like so they did that, and so that was like okay, this is what happens to you if you decide that So that was like, and so all the other countries
I
looked
must
at
say
it and
Togo
like,
lined up,
right? They
Benin
were like,
lined up.
exactly like,
Everybody
okay,
said
hey,
it.
are we really going to go through this or something like that? Hey, let's just join. Yes, and so that was what they did, you know. And there are many, many, many people on the continent who do not know this about Guinea and what happened.
And they
Have
just
no,
think, the
have
sad
no
part.
idea that this happened to Guinea, and that
And there's
was
many
how.
people in America. Many people in America have no clue. And this is part of why I do what I do to help people understand the story. Because they'll go to Africa and they'll say, oh man, it's third world. I don't want to go to that place because, don't they have a civil war there? Don't they have military coups going on? Don't they have this happening? And I don't want to go there. So I'd rather go to Paris. I'd rather go to London. I'd rather go to every other place in the world, I don't want to step foot in Africa because it's so bad without understanding that the places that they're going, it's like we talk about justice and we talk about what's right, but we're the ones who take our money to Paris and take pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower, whose iron was stolen from Algeria. But we don't know this. It's kind of like what you say about the average African might not know about what happened with Kwame Nkrumah, might not know what happened down in South Africa for real, and so the average quote unquote so called African American is largely uneducated about the exploitations of the wealthiest continent in the world, but yet
Yes.
we think we're rich without understanding. But to your point, though, to your point, it's like if you are wealthy and you don't realize it within the current system, then it makes you impoverished. And then if
Yes.
you're forgiving, then if you're too welcoming, and if you're so nice, then somebody comes in and says, I can exploit you and I can take what you have. And all right, it's all coming together. All right.
Right.
So
So
continue. Yes.
so there's a war going on. It's been going on forever. And it is a war for control,
Hmm.
for resources. The sad part is that all other peoples seem to be aware of this, and they are planning, or they planned, and they continue to do that strategically to win this war.
Hmm.
We, I would say this probably might sound a bit harsh, but I don't think we even realize that there's a war going on. We've not even realized that, much less to even begin to fight.
Hmm.
We we have no idea, but this is going on, and so the people from the West and all the other regions, no, they are not there to save you. They are not there to help you. No, 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 no. It's a long-term war, and it started, and it's not ended, and it's going on. It's still going on. Again, when we talked about uh, we're talking about leverage, okay? So the continent broken up in all these bits and pieces with the effects of colonization, having left all these countries in the state that they left them, having put these structures in place where it is everything goes out. Almost all of them were left in a situation where they did not have the leverage.
Hmm.
So I'll come back to that. Let me cite this example. Uh, so this happens to Guinea, and all the others fall in line. In more recent times, you look at Zimbabwe, right, under Robert Mugabe.
Okay.
Okay, so Zimbabwe, just like all the other places under colonization, then they fought the war for independence, right? Now they won. The white men are taking all the fertile lands and everything, right? You have this black population, those who fought and all of that. What are you doing with them? So
Hmm.
you need to find a way to return their lands to them, to redistribute their land, you know. So Robert Mugabe embarks on this exercise. I'm not saying, I mean, everybody has his faults. So he also had his own faults and mistakes and all of that. But the central point that he wanted to do this for his people. And so to take it, we can argue about uh, whether taking the lands, I mean, directly from his white farmers and all of that and giving them, we can argue about, I mean, the pros and cons and all of that.
Okay.
But for him, it is, this land belongs to my people, you know, and they were just taken away from them, and it's time to return it to them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
look at what the Western world did to Mugabe in Zimbabwe. They made sure that on the international markets and all of that, they blocked them, access to everything, to the extent that Zimbabwe was, I mean, the inflation was in thousands. They couldn't put, I mean, everything. there's no one country that can exist on its own and by itself without getting things
Right.
from
Right.
somewhere else.
So that
And
that
so,
that, that blows out the independence argument right
right,
there,
right,
because
you
independence
know,
means you can
and,
stand on
and,
your
and,
own.
and so and so this was what they did. I mean, led by the British. This was what they did to Zimbabwe. Okay, so my point has always been that as individual countries, we do not have the leverage to fight,
Mm-hmm.
and that is why it is important that we have a block where we come together. We are not. It's not about unifying in terms of, I mean, becoming one people and all that. No, 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 no. By unifying in the extent that on the economic level and political level, we
Mm.
have each other's back. You know. So if we had that in place when they were doing this to Zimbabwe,
Okay.
then all the Zimbabwe would turn to other African countries. Okay, I need this, I can get this from here. I need that, I can get that from here. And then the intertrading happens. And so that even if there still be some effect, the effect is not going to be that much felt, you know. And if we really, really want to fight back, that needs to happen. I'm really glad to see this new wave with people like Jay and others spearheading this. We have I would say, the reactivation of the diaspora, because that will form a critical part to Africa's independence and uh, what if we're ever going to be able to stand on our own, you know. So if we're able to build this capacity with the addition of the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, when the West come up with some policy, whatever thing that we say, no, we can say no, and knowing that when we say no, if they decide to do whatever, we have other means of covering that.
So it sounds like it's being more strategic
Yes, because
because
otherwise, I mean, if Ghana, they're gonna cripple you, and then once they cripple you, then you have to, okay, if you are the government in power, what do you do? Your
yeah.
people are on the streets protesting. They're ready to take
And
you
they'll
out.
just let a coup come in and take you out,
Right,
or you end
right.
up in a situation like what Haiti is dealt with for all of these years, or other
Yes,
countries, not just Haiti,
yes,
but like Guinea,
yes,
and
yes.
you notice
You know,
the countries
I
that,
mean, yeah.
right?
I mean, in West Africa now, look, we recent time we've just had about 4 coups, and you know who is behind. I mean, the one that happened in Guinea.
Who's behind it?
This
You
guy
tell me
was,
who.
this guy who took over. He was actually in the French Legion,
I tell people all the time when the president of Haiti got killed, I said check the French, y'all, check the French.
and it's actually coming out now that he was actually fighting some drug traffickers and all of that, and then boom, you know, yeah. So this guy in Guinea, he was in the French Legion, and
Yeah,
then he is there. Look at Mali, you know. Mali now has taken the stance, and so they said they're kicking out the French. After all that, they kicked out the French, and then there was some Danish soldiers. I was like, what are you doing? He said, okay, you guys should also get out. Now the French foreign minister is still insisting that they're gonna they had a meeting, the EU, European Union, they're gonna still find a way that no, it's not over. They're not just gonna give it up like that.
no,
And
it's
so
even
and so
even
eh,
when I saw they said they were kicking them out, I'm like, with what military? are you kicking out the French?
Right,
With whose
right,
military are you
right.
kicking out the French?
Yes,
That's the. I mean, are you getting the Russians now? Are you now? This is
yes.
how it
So
works.
so they say yes. So they ask for support from the Russians. But
There you go. So you go
you're
from
right. Right.
one pimp to another pimp. I
Yes.
get it. I get it.
Right. But what is going to happen? What is going to happen is that if France does not get its way one way or the other, then you know what is going to happen to Mali.
You know it.
Yes,
You know it's
they
coming.
are going to. Oh yes, so they are going to be in for some extremely hard times, because hey, uh, all the West is going to go behind
The French.
French because basically they all have the same
You
uh,
know, what's interesting about that? The French and the British fought each other for over 100 years.
but when it comes to this,
But they can still work together. The
yes, yes,
Polish and who was it? The
yeah,
Polish and the Dutch or somebody up
yes,
there
they
was fighting each
all had,
other.
yes,
The
Germans said they
Swiss
all had, yes,
and the
yes,
American, they
yes,
fight
the
each
Swiss and
other.
Russians, they fought, they have, yes, but,
They fight like crazy, but
yep, yes,
somehow
yes,
they get together and when it comes to that money,
yes,
they get together and they say we don't like each other,
yes,
but we love that money more.
yes,
And that's the so it's like economic sanctions that they call it. It's
oh,
even like
yes,
even if you look at what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, a lot of people don't know what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And the reason why Russia is so adamant about Ukraine and the proximity to Russia and the importance of Ukraine to Russia, most people think, oh, Russia's just being a big bad bully without understanding the colonial impact of the
yes.
U.S. and the
Yes,
proximity.
exactly. Because even when they were putting together this European Union and everything, Russia was giving assurances, you know, that the European Union was going to stay away. But now they're actually trying to bring Ukraine into the European Union. And once they do that, they're going to put anti what do you call
Aircraft missiles in the air.
missiles and
Right,
all
they
of
can
that
put it right there in
there.
Ukraine. Right.
Yes, and look at the United States. When the Russians tried to do something like that with Cuba, look at what happened. The United States said no, and they fought that.
Yeah,
But now this is what is happening, and so yes, so it is. Yeah, Putin has his bad name and bad image
right.
and
I
all of
get it.
it, all of that. But as you said, there's more to it than just that he just wants to take Crimea. No. There's more. He
It's leverage.
sees what is
It's
happening. That the
colonial.
moment,
It's
yes,
colonization on every
right,
level, and that's why I say the average American will turn on TV and say Putin is being a bad guy. Putin is doing this, that, and the other without understanding
yes,
the story.
right,
And then they said, well, Biden and Putin are talking. Well, I'm trying to figure out why Biden needs to talk to Putin if it's between Ukraine and Russia, but it's really between Russia and the
well,
U.S. That's really what it's all about.
exactly, exactly,
It's really,
exactly.
and then when you
And
start
and and then and then the European Union is
in the
between
European Union,
Russia,
yeah.
yes, the
And
US
so
and the
when you start
European
sitting
Union.
there, and Biden is like he'll be the one talking for everybody
Right.
else. They say, okay, Biden, you go up and you talk, and they say, well,
Yep.
let's do through diplomacy. Well, diplomacy there's nothing diplomatic about anything. I mean, this is what I'm saying. It's like when they use these words and then we regurgitate them without understanding
Right.
the history of the
Mm-hmm.
world. That nothing is diplomatic. Everything has
Yep.
been done by force. Whoever
Yep.
has the military is the
Yep.
one. And the battle right now is between the U.S., Russia, and China. Those are the big three who are really, and even when you start getting down into some of what's happening in Ethiopia, that a lot of people don't know about and understanding the
Oh,
hand of Russia and the U.S. and China, and then when you start looking at other parts around the world, is and basically that's why I asked, well, who's behind this? Because they'll look at the average American, white or black, will look at a situation and say, this is what's going on in Africa without understanding who's supplying the arms.
thank you.
Who's supplying the arms? Who's the person that's supplying the resources to be? And they were doing it in East Africa. And the Germans, back in the day, like 1900s, the Germans had the African tribes fighting for them, protecting them. I was
And
like,
and it is still happening in the Congo now because they are arming all these different rebel groups, and they fight, and as they fight, guess what happens? The mineral resources are being taken up.
Smoke
Being
and
taken.
mirrors. It's like a
Yes.
smoke screen. Everybody's worried about this. In the meantime, they're
Right.
digging in the
Look,
ground, taking everything
take,
out.
yes, the United Nations. The United Nations supposedly has this Security Council, right? And there's a 6-member permanent. They are permanent,
That's always the key
permanent
thing. That's
members on the
always.
Security Council. And then I think every 2 or 3 years they add some additional members, but those ones change. But there's this permanent members that are 6. Each of these permanent Security Council member is a large scale arms producer. Each of them large scale arms producer. And I guess that is what the qualification is, I guess, to be on the Security Council.
Right, Security Council.
Right.
Security.
And so just look at that. And so they are the same ones manufacturing all these arms and then supplying it all. So they create all this instability over the world.
Right.
Then they turn around, as you say, they say, "Oh, we need to intervene
Because so and so is doing this, we need to go in
right,
and get this
right,
person in order. They're
yes,
violating the treaty agreement, so now we need to
right,
do all of these different things. And again, we're silly. When I say silly, not in the sense we don't take the time to think a little bit deeper. So because we believe what we see on TV, we
yes,
believe that the people are that what we see on the news is authentic and
yes,
legitimate. But you know what, Nana, I think this is a really good conversation, and I think that it's one that people really can glean from because, and this is why I like talking to people. That's why, because I think you watched me talking to Eben,
yes,
and I was like, hey, shoot me an email, and then you shot me an email, and then
right,
but it's good because people don't. It's good for us to have this dialogue because we don't know each other. It's our first time talking. This is our first
that's right,
time, but there's something that we understand about this game that's being played, and our perspectives help to bridge the gap and help us to educate one another because so many of us are in these educational systems that just leave us with so much misinformation. So
yes.
go
And
ahead.
if I could say this, so again, with respect to the capacity building, you know, even in the United States here, I've heard stats that show that even with African American companies, you know, um, probably like 95% do not have the capacity to take on large scale contracts,
Okay,
you know,
I can see
and
that.
all of that. Okay, so what will be helpful is to have probably 2, 3, 4 teaming up, you know, so then they will be able to have probably the capacity to get the generate the capital
Mm-hmm.
to then engage on some of these huge contracts. So my thing is that okay, now each African country, the government should seriously consider having offices that will deal with the diaspora, you know, so that they look at and this should be deliberate and intentional, you know, that okay, we want to build what a stadium, hospital, whatever this is. The diaspora more or less will have access to this engineering and all of that, you know, the machinery equipment and all of that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's engage them, you know. Let's give the contract to them. Let about 3 or 4 of them team up, and then it build the capacity for these companies over here in the diaspora. And then once they're able to execute their job, you know, then the capacity maybe even what they call transfer or skills that will also happen on the ground to the people there, creating jobs, and then we move from one to the other, and then we're building on it, and then we'll go there. It has to be intentional and deliberate. It's not going to happen overnight, but um, this is something that so recently the sixth region was inaugurated. I don't know if you followed that. The diaspora now is considered the sixth region of Africa. Oh
Oh,
yes, yes. So we have west, east, south, central, and then north.
mhm.
So those were the five regions of Africa. Now the diaspora, the AU have designated the diaspora as the sixth region of Africa.
Okay,
Now,
so now that is the entire African
the,
diaspora, or
the
just
entire the entire the
so
African diaspora,
Brazil, the
right,
Caribbean,
right,
Canada,
yes,
France,
yes,
not just America, because a
not
lot of
just
people in
America,
America they think
right.
that we think that we're the only ones, and we have a special trauma that nobody else has,
I
and
mean, to think to even know that outside Nigeria,
hmm
Brazil actually has the
yeah,
largest
yeah,
black population.
yeah. I've seen them in person. I know. I was
Okay,
there. I've been there. I saw.
okay,
I was like, whoa, wait a minute here. I thought, yeah.
yes, yes. So with that, with having that inaugurated, I mean that was done. You have the flag and everything. So I want to. My hope is that the EU would not just leave it at that, but will seriously go down to business. Creating the necessary structures to actually get the diaspora involved and to so that it will be the mutual benefit.
Well, I
So
think that conversations like this is what's going to continue to educate and enlighten people.
uh
And when you have people who are aware of what's going on, because I was getting discouraged, because I'm telling you,
oh,
I'm telling you, I
I
would
know exactly
watch.
what you mean. Yes.
I'm listening to what I'm saying. I would go back and listen to what I'm saying, and I'm saying this is like knowledge right here. This is like real. This is not. And I would get some of the most unfortunate rationales, and I'm like, now, wait a minute, this isn't adding up. But what you, to your point earlier about how the average person, because it's going back to the average person,
Oh
and
yes.
and meaning that most people are not going to go through. And this is not to say that I'm any better than anyone or anything like
No, no,
that,
no, 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 no,
but
no,
most
no.
but most people are not going to go through the expense that I've gone through. They're not going to spend um, you know, close to $100,000
Time. I mean,
over
yes,
3 years
you're
to
on a
go
quest.
educate themselves. Now
Yes.
they'll go put that in
Mm-hmm.
a college that that'll halfway educate them
No,
with a student loan.
no, you're
But
not.
I needed to go, and by doing that, and that's the best $100,000 that I've spent. And so I go back to that. But most people are not going to go do that. You don't have to spend $100,000. You can go and educate yourself with all of the resources, all the free resources that are in place. But to your point, though, that's what prompted me to say, you know, you're there's more to this, and that the average person might not get it. But there's people like you who get it and who reach out and who say, hey, and that's one of the reasons why we're talking. So it's because sometimes, I'm telling you, sometimes you sit here and you're just like, wow, wow.
The Bible says, "For lack of knowledge, my people perish,"
Perish. Yes.
and that unfortunately has been our situation, and it continues to be. We just don't have the knowledge for the majority of our people. We have no idea what is going on, and I mean, look, I mentioned Dr. John Henry Clark earlier. I did not know, I have never heard of him, did not know about him until I got here. And even when I got here, it was years.
Mm.
I mean, if anybody knows about this man and what he stood for and what his all his speeches and his work, let me say his body of work.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason why this man should not be taught in all of our schools?
Well, they're not going to teach. They're not going to do that. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
If you can keep people, and it's almost like what they've turned, in many ways they've turned Martin Luther King into a caricature
Thank you.
of even who he was.
Of even who he was, yes.
Even
They
what
they
even who
they just select the ones that they're comfortable with about him, and then they project it. They never talked about the radical Martin Luther King,
yeah.
the man who was actually fighting, what quality who was. No. They don't.
They
No,
turned him
they don't
into a
talk.
passive man.
Yes,
They
thank you.
turned
That's the word.
everything that,
That is the word, a passive man.
that
And he wasn't
but he
exactly.
wasn't a passive man.
Nope,
As a matter of
nope.
fact, when you really understand, I mean, some people may have some philosophical differences, some ideological differences, and even some religious differences with him. But
Right.
when you listen, I finally took the time to listen to what he was saying without a bias filter. When I listened to what he was saying, when he talked about the nonviolent movement, he said that we did not have the military capacity to take up arms and fight these people. And so I even deducted it's like we had to use the leverage that we had
Mm-hmm.
and and so the leverage that we had was a nonviolent approach. But he was like, well, I wasn't particularly opposed to it, but I didn't.
No,
He was like,
no.
but what made sense? Well, what leverage do we have? And so, but when they put the narrative out about him, no, we're gonna be peaceful and nonviolent, and we're gonna go and
Right.
but he was
Nope.
really saying, listen, if we're gonna win the war, we have to be a little bit more strategic, and
Yes.
if we could take up guns, but then we're all gonna be dead. So what do we have? Make
And
them look bad on the world stage and use political pressure to
yes.
get them to modify some things,
Yes.
and so he explained it, and there are others, to your point, there are others
And
who
I,
yeah.
I, 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 I do also believe that um a mix. There could be some mix. I mean, no, well, there are certain situations that will call for meeting
Oh yeah.
fire, fire by
Oh
fire.
yeah, you put a beat down on somebody. Absolutely.
Right.
If you're getting
Yes.
killed, then you got to defend yourself. Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yes. So it should never have been a matter of Martin or Malcolm.
Right.
It should have been both.
Right. Because they both brought the thunder. They both.
Yes.
I sit there and listen to Malcolm. I'm like,
Yes.
man, where the
You know,
Mal? Where
I
is?
mean, this is what I always think about. Like, what would have been the state of Black America if we had Malcolm and Martin still living, or even if they had lived to, you know,
I don't
maybe
know. You know,
70s, 80s.
I don't know. And the reason why I say that is because I look at how, as you talk about Africa and how many Africans are. I grew up in America, and I watch how we shoot ourselves in the foot. I watch how we do some of the most backwards things, how we vote the most backwards politicians in. To your initial point when we got on about the everything in black and white, we've been so fooled and brainwashed that we only vote black and white. So somebody can be white in a black body, and we won't have enough sense to discern it, and we will vote for them just because they're black. And so that's how we've been conditioned in America to not even think. We don't even we it's like all we see is a donkey and an elephant, or a black or a white. And no matter how bad the conditions are in the cities that we live in, that are controlled by the black people, the money's controlled. Well, when I say that,
Exactly.
I say that
The
loosely.
coach.
I'm
There you
go
go.
down. I'm
That's
rewind that
right.
for you in a second. I'm just saying to the average. I'm comparing average African to average Black American.
Hmm.
All they see is the black mayor, the black city council, the black police chief, or sometimes they get the white police chief in there to keep the Negroes in check. But if you get the police chief in there,
Hmm.
You get the black school board. You get all these people, but for some reason, the crime is still out of control. The gentrification is still happening. The lip service is still there. But the black people still keep voting the people in. They still keep putting the people right back in office. Put them right in because they're black. That's it. There's no and don't even hold them accountable. You can't say anything. You hating on them if you say something. And I'm saying your kids going to them piss poor schools. Your kids coming out and trying to figure out and graduating from high school and don't even understand these different things. And you're not bothered by that. Something's not in you to say I cannot tolerate this. So those are the types of things that I look at. So to your point about wow, how can the European, how can the white man come into Africa and take over? I see the same thing happen in America because we know who's controlling it. We know they'll do a political coup on somebody. Any black politician that's really about the black people, they're going to get them out of office. And they might not assassinate him because America's supposed to be a little bit more civilized, but they'll find something. They'll bring up some old crazy charge on some, they did something on a loan or something like that.
Oh, yes.
And now they're trying to get them out
right now. Yes, in Maryland and all that.
In Baltimore, but a friend of mine went through that. So you have these types of things that I just wish that we would just wake up and say, wait a minute, we're still being played. And I guess for me, the part that woke me up was when I went to Africa and I saw it, and then I came back and I saw it, and it's like, wait a minute, this game from the educational system, I'm pledging allegiance to a flag that I don't even understand what this flag represents. From first grade, the minute I said, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. I'm saying this stuff. I have not said that thing since first grade, but when I went to first grade, that's what they put into me. They put into me red, white, and blue. Don't question, without understanding that my African ancestors are the ones who built this country, but they never get credit. Even in the black mind, we don't give them credit. We say it intellectually. Yes, my ancestors built this country, but we really don't understand it. We don't even see how we're still building this country and don't get compensated properly. We don't see it because somebody told us that, we're not supposed to say anything. And that's where it goes to the religion. You know what? Just take whatever comes your way and be grateful for whatever God done gave you. And you better take a hold of that and be happy for it. But then everybody else is coming in from Israel and from Russia and from wherever, from all over the place, and they come in and they can see it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come in like that, but it's just like that's what I know.
But to add to that, that is a thing, and you always make this point in your videos. As you move across Africa, look at all these other people who are there. From the Lebanese to the Indians to the Chinese to the Europeans, they are all there. And we seem to be the people that are missing. And so this is the time we should be doing all those things.
Well, we will,
Yes.
It's conversations like this. There's conversations like this.
Yes. We should be doing all those things, Yeah. And so with this diaspora, the Sixth region and all of that I talked about. I mean, there's this she was this a former AU ambassador.
Yeah.
You know that lady.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, I love her too. She's
oh yes. She speaks truth to power. Oh, she is a powerful woman, And there's this project that they have kind of sought for in the Central region.
Okay.
Yes, that they want to build. So she put it together. She put these professionals from the diaspora.
Okay.
So engineers and all of that. So they are going to source the capital and then go in and then make it happen. And then they will try to replicate that across the continent. So it's not going to be that. So yes. So as you said, these things. It's gratifying to know that at least it's the consciousness, is now um, coming to the fore, and we can only hope that yes, more of our people will come to that understanding, and then yes. Let me just say this: when you were talking about the these black politicians and all of that in the cities, there's this thing that I recently heard, and it's like not all skin food is
Kinfolk.
kinfolk.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
yeah. Not all kinfolk, but it's a whole
Yes,
lot. I'll tell you like
yes,
this: it's a whole lot fewer that's kinfolk than when you really get down to the essence of it. I'm discovering that it's probably a
yes.
50-50
Because
because
there are so many of us, on the continent, as I was telling you, that have, I mean, there's, yes, but the mentality, the mindset, everything is something else.
well. All right, Nana, we're gonna have to pick this up again. We've been
Yes,
rolling
sir.
for a while now. We're gonna pick this
Yes,
up.
sir.
Listen, everybody, I've been talking to Nana. He reached out to me, and what I'm doing now is I'm bridging the gap and I'm communicating with those who are in the audience. And I would love to be able to have a conversation with anyone out there. If it's a relevant conversation, we're gonna have constructive conversation. You don't even have to agree. I don't have a problem having a conversation with somebody who completely disagrees with me. And it doesn't have to, I'm not going to be combative or anything. I'll just ask questions because I like to learn and get different perspectives. So please reach out to me at jcameron official at gmail.com. That is my email, jcameronofficial at gmail.com. And then that way, and I got right back to you, didn't I?
You
No,
did. You
I
sure did.
did. So, and I say, hey, let's work this out. So that's directly to me. Now, if you're watching this video 5 years from now, it might not come directly to me. I might have but I like to be able to do this and have these conversations quickly because that's how we bridge the gap. And so you're in Memphis, Tennessee. You're originally from Ghana, from the Ashanti region. You are you're born on Thursday, and so Yao is your day name.
You
See, I'm
got it.
paying attention.
And you are what?
I'm Kojo. Kojo.
Oh, okay. Monday.
I'm
Okay.
Monday born. That's right. I'm Kojo
Okay.
Twimborema. That is
Okay.
that's my full Ashanti name, Kojo Twimborema. And
Oh,
yeah, see, I tell you, I spend some time with my folks in Ghana. So,
that's right.
but that's the deal. And so again, thank you for sharing and having this lively discussion. And I know that again, I love to hear from others' perspectives. I love to hear, now that you've lived in the U.S., you've seen some of the things, like you say, all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and so you understand our lingo, you understand our story better. What I did was I wanted to go learn the story on the continent, and I
Mhm.
understand everybody's relationship with their colonizing entity is not the same. So and that's the part. So I'm learning that, and as I'm learning that, I'm able to convey that and communicate it through this channel. And again, this video will live forever. And so somebody may watch this at a different point in time, and it inspires them to start businesses and understanding
Yes.
um,
Mm.
all of the dynamics. Is it true that y'all don't like us over there in Africa? Is it true that the Africans don't like the African
Let me
Americans?
take a minute to address that.
Oh, you got 1 minute. You only got 1 minute.
Okay, so let me just answer the question straight out. No, that is not true.
Okay,
That is
because
so
they
not
tell
true. You
you.
know, there has never been an issue between continental Africans and African Americans. No, the rift that people talk about has always been between, I would say, diasporan Africans, Africans who have come to America,
Mhm.
and then African Americans.
Yes.
That is where sometimes there is this misunderstanding. But as far as the continent is concerned, no, 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 no.
You know
They
what? I'm glad you said that.
never.
I'm glad you said that as a native of Africa, because that's what I sensed when because again they got us messed up real bad over here in America as
Yes,
far as the way we think about
right.
Africa, and but that's the thing, because somebody would say them Africans don't like us, and I had this is what they would say. I had this experience with these Nigerians. That's what they would say. My experience with Nigerians is just bad, and
Yes,
so
in this country, it
that
is
in
ever.
this country,
Yes, exactly.
until I went to Nigeria.
Yes. Mhm.
When I got among the people in
Mhm.
Nigeria,
Yes,
I did not have that experience.
yes,
It was the exact opposite. And that's why
yes,
I said there's something different about people on the continent
yes.
versus some of those who come here. And I think what ends up happening is that might even be a play on colonization, because people will pick up a particular mentality based upon their relationship
on both sides. Yes.
right, on both sides,
yes.
with the colonizing entity, somebody believing that they're better because
right. Yes.
and they might see the opportunities that are being squandered and
dynamics. Yes.
so I get it.
Yes.
I get that part, but that's why I say you got to go see for yourself. You got to open your mind. You got to go. We have to do better if we're going to give these jackleg colleges and institutions all of this money for partially educating us. Then it'd be worth it for us to. And if the school is not jackleg, then I'm not talking about them. All right. So let me just put that in particular. Because somebody been, my school ain't jackleg. I went to the best of the best. Now, who said it was the best of the best? Did your colonizer tell you that it was the best of the best? Anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
That's right.
If you go educate yourself, nobody can take that from you. And so if you're going to spend $80,000 to get a degree, be willing to spend another $80,000 to go educate yourself and have a well-rounded education. And people squealing and all that.
Well-rounded education.
Oh, the trip is expensive, but you just gave the school.
Let me tell you something that my dad told us, So my siblings and I, whenever we finished undergraduate, right? Done with undergraduate. Then this man will tell you that now go get some education. I'm like, I just finished and you telling me to go get some education. Yeah. But now I understand what he meant. He said,
your dad knew.
He said, now go get some education.
Right. What formal education does is it allows you to go get in the system and play in the game. So you can go make some resources, get some resources.
Right.
That's what it does. It gives you a partial education. You get a credential and it educates you to a point. But when you get among people and you get among the cultures, you will learn lessons from elders and people who know things that they'll never put in a book or on a YouTube channel.
Yes.
There will be people, and I'm talking about on both sides, in America, Brazil, and at different parts of Africa, in Europe, Australia. You get among the people and they tell you their life experiences, and the education that comes from that has no price tag. And the person that you become as a part of that has no price tag. So anyway, hey, Nana.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to pick this up, man. Listen, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for your perspective. Everybody, make sure, if you want to join the conversation, you have something that you want to share anywhere in this world. And again, it's open to anyone. You can be in Europe. You can be 100% European, and you have a perspective to share. I would love to hear it. You know my vibe. I'm here. I love to have honest conversations, talk about difficult topics. That's how we bridge the gap here at Maximum Impact with Jay Cameron. So until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and take care.
What made you say, I'm gonna go climb Kilimanjaro?
When I went to Ghana, I knew that there was something missing.
Why'd you go to Ghana? What started the whole?
What started the whole thing was curiosity, and I did the ancestry, DNA. Then I did African ancestry. Then when I was doing the whole Uber experiment, I was meeting all these people from Africa, and there was this one young lady from Ethiopia, and then she told me, "Oh, this Ethiopia is this great place. You need to go." And I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna go one day on my bucket list." But then I did the ancestry, and this whole piece about Africa kept coming up in my mind. And then I just decided to do it. I said, I'm gonna stop waiting around, I'm gonna do it. From there, went to Ghana, and the first thing that hit me is that, wait a minute, there's something I wasn't told. Just had lunch, and we are getting ready to start this journey. We're getting a lot more footage along the way, so stay tuned. So we made it to the top after the rock scramble. Life above the clouds is completely different. Behind me is the summit. We're on our way. We are in a cloud. That's what's happening.
I'm dressed like a handmaid.
This is literally like from another planet.
Wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata.